Welcome back for another video. 85 points all out after 4 transfers made, which resulted in a 14-point gain, which I'll take. So that's a green arrow to 17k overall. It's been a mad climb from 5.3 million earlier in the season after an 8.6 mil Gameweek rank. That was from Gameweek 5 to Gameweek 16 now. Obviously all chips used up now, so the next few Gameweeks probably going to be quite difficult for managers like us that are all out of chips, because I expect there's probably going to be a bit of a spike in usage. Ironically, it actually would have been a slightly better game week if I'd not made my final transfer, which was Munoz to O'Reilly, because Mukiele ended up on 8 points as Sunderland kept a clean sheet against Newcastle. The reason that I went a week early there was because there was that doubt over Timber wherever he starts. I would have had no depth at all if Timber hadn't played, basically. It was like a 0.3 million team value swing as well by going early, so I guess that's a plus. Gw in the end didn't make it off the bench either, so I'm glad I made the move even if it didn't work out. Timber did of course play, and a really disappointing late clean sheet wipe, and honestly a really poor performance against Wolves. 3 points rescued by a really late goal from Jesus. No real gains from captaincy this week, because Saka, Bruno, Foden and Haaland all ended up scoring about the same. It was 2 points lost in the end on Saka captain over Haaland, but no big deal. It was actually a red arrow heading into Monday night's game, only for Semenyo and Bruno to save the day with 19 points between them. Pretty much a perfect game, with the highly owned Mbumo also blanking. So let's take a look at how you all got on. There were over 300 sent in this week, so I did have a hard time handpicking a select few. Fami says, I went 5 out of 5 on my free transfers. Röves, Foden, Wilson, Bruno and Calvert-Lewin all came in. 106 points all out, with no chip used as well. Is crazy. Outscored me by 21 points. Cal says, I could have gotten like 90 points if I'd never played my free hit, or if I'd just kept most of my old team. 47 points all out on the free hit. Bit of a disaster here. I mean, no Haaland, Saka or Bruno, who did a lot of the heavy lifting last week. I think you got too fancy on the free hit there, taking out those players. Ossie says, not a Gameweek score, but I gained plus 32 points off the 5 free transfers. So he sold Anderson, Munoz, Mateta, Voltemada and Longstaff, and brought in Wilson, Vardiol, Gw, Thiago and Foden for 32 points gained. Alright, let's do a couple more. Frenzy says 112 points with a complete failure of a bench boost. So this one's a mixture of masterclass and disaster class, really. Only 7 points from the bench, but I mean, who cares really when you get 112? Had Ekatika and Wilson as well, so 5 double-digit returns in the team. Did anyone score more than 112? One manager had the game week of all game weeks. Gavrilo says a successful bench boost improved my overall rank by more than half. What I will say is this is a pretty dishonest bench boost if I've ever seen one, because there's no way you'd bench Foden or Bruno, for example. However, 129 points is absolutely huge. Well played. So let's go through the team and transfer plans for Gameweek 17 then. In goal, Rye plays away at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, and Dye and Ghana Gay have both left for AFCON, and we're still waiting to hear on the latest on Grealish and Dewsbury Hall and their injuries, and whether they're available for this one or not. Moyes is probably going to have to call on the likes of McNeil, Alcaraz, maybe Dibbling for this one. I'm playing a 4-4-2 this week. The back line is Virgil, O'Reilly, Anderson and Timber. Double Arsenal defence with Timber, who was past fit enough in the end to start last match. And Arsenal are joint top on the clean sheet odds of Man City this week, both on a 44% chance. Gabriel's price has actually only fallen 0.3 million, so he's 6.2 mil now. So there's actually not a huge gap between Timber and Gabriel, unfortunately. Otherwise, I probably would have considered making that switch later if it freed up the money needed for something elsewhere. The rumour is Gabriel's targeting a return in game week 18 or 19, so basically in 2 or 3 games just before the new year. I'm recording before the 2 League Cup games midweek, Man City versus Brentford, Newcastle versus Fulham, where we're all hoping for a rest for the likes of O'Reilly, Foden and Haaland. I'm hoping we see like Ake or Lewis left back, something like that. Thiago and Anderson, the other 2 players in my team that could be involved midweek. 8 Norwich departed for AFCON, so I think O'Reilly's got the potential to be gold for 5.3 mil, especially with a fixture like West Ham home. Fulham a bit further down, 29% on the clean sheet odds. And if we take a look at the updated DEFCON standings, Anderson's registering 11.14 contributions per 90, which is second in the league among defenders. First is Senesi on 13.2. By the way, did anyone see Senesi registered 21 DEFCONs against Man United on Monday? Absolutely crazy. Virgil's third, so I've basically got a blend of 2 DEFCON beasts in my team with Virgil and Anderson, and then I've got Timber and O'Reilly, who obviously aren't reliable for defcons, but better clean sheet odds and better goal involvement potential. The midfield is stacked this week. It's Saka, Semenyo, Bruno and Foden. Can Foden make it 5 double-digit returns on the bounce? Not even Salah managed that in his record-breaking points season last year. Nuno's not managed to have the impact defensively that he would have hoped so far, though obviously it's always difficult when you come in mid-season. Since Nuno took charge of West Ham in Gameweek 6, West Ham are third worst after Burnley and Bournemouth for expected goals conceded with 18.6 XGC. By the way, who saw Bournemouth being second worst over that run? West Ham have kept no clean sheets since then, and 127 shots in the box conceded is worse in the league. Give Haaland and Foden a couple of shots in the box and they'll punish you. Besides West Ham and Wolves, Burnley are one of the other sides that are a team to target, and Burnley home is a fixture that's produced 9 double-digit returns this season. 8 teams have played them home so far, so on average just over 1 double-digit return per game when someone plays Burnley home. Hopefully Semenyo this week. I might actually sell him after this game, more on that in a sec. Man United are going to be without Casemiro after suspension for the trip to Villa Park, which is a big loss. He's actually been decent this season. And on top of that, no Mbumo, no Ahmad, no Mezraoui. So it's going to be a really tough game, especially given Villa's form. Emery's just such a brilliant manager. Like, who remembers the opening 5 game weeks this season? No wins. And I think they didn't even score their first goal until game week 5. And I had the Rodgers and Watkins double up, if you recall, for all 5 game weeks as well. I mean, Rodgers is finally starting to look like a quality pick. But anyway, Villa are in great form recently. 3rd in the Premier League table for a reason. Saka moves up as the 9th top scorer midfielder now, which is pretty good considering he did miss a few games as well. He's returned in his last 4 games in a row, showing the consistency as well. Returns in 5 of his last 6 games. Arsenal do need to show a lot more than they did against Wolves though to win this one. Up front, the forwards are Haaland and Thiago. Looking at projected goals, Man City are miles ahead this week on 3.0, and that's right up there among the most of the entire season for any team. So it's Haaland captain, of course, and it's Foden vice. If you've still got your triple captainship, then this is a time to strongly consider using it. Failing that, I'd say Bruno home to Wolves in Game Week 19 is the other opportunity, and that's the last week to use it before you'll get topped up to 4 chips again in Game Week 20. I mentioned earlier that Burnley home is a fixture that's produced 9 double-digit returns this season. There's only one fixture that's produced more this season, and it's Thiago's fixture this week, Wolves away. Wolves have conceded 11 double-digit returns to teams playing them on home soil this season. He feels very template now, so I'm glad to have made some good gains off Thiago early in the season. I bought him back in Game Week 11. And that is kind of the big caveat with those 5 free transfers. The teams do look more similar than ever, but it won't stay that way. Like, give it a few weeks and teams will have gone in different directions again. It always happens. The template kind of ebbs and flows throughout every season. My differentials are basically just O'Reilly and Anderson. Though what I should mention is that owning multiple players in combination is a big differential in itself. I'm going to blow your mind here. You'd think that Saka, Bruno and Foden are in like every other team, right? Well, actually combined, Saka, Bruno and Foden are in 4.87% of teams. Admittedly, the number is much higher in the top 100k at 30%, but it's still low. And if I add in my other mids and Thiago, then it's only 5% in the top 100k that own my attackers altogether. So I suppose if there's a takeaway, it's that you don't have to necessarily go differential just for the sake of it. On the bench, it's Dubravka, Mukiele, Gw and Bar. So I've got 2 free transfers and 0.6 mil in the bank. It's been a long time since we've looked at the overall rankings and thresholds, so let's pull it up for a refresher. Have a check how many points you're currently on and how near you are from the next threshold. So 925 points is 1 million, 950 is 500k, 993 points is top 100k. So for example, 33 points separates 2 mil from 1 mil, 43 points separates 500k to top 100k, only 14 points separates top 100k to top 50k. I'm currently 6 points inside 25k, that's the next threshold behind me, and I'm 9 points off 10k myself. So let's move on to transfer plans. Got 2 free transfers this week, as I say, 0.6 mil in the bank. And there's no major upgrades that I can make this week, so the straightforward plan is to roll and get myself up to 3 free transfers. I'd like to improve the bench soon, because I've mentioned before the schedule's about to get crazy again. We've got like 4 game weeks in 11 days, and I think rotation chaos is probably coming again. So that could involve moving Semenyo to a cheaper mid, after the Burnley game, and then maybe upgrade Bar. There's some really great cheap mids right now that I like Dewsbury Hall, if he is available. I think he's 5.1 mil. Stack's great for even cheaper, 4.8 mil. And then of course there's Wilson for 5.6 mil. I'm not ruling him out either. Until I make those improvements, I'm just kind of stuck with a 4-4-2, and I've only got one player on the bench every week. Hit subscribe below if you'd like to follow my team throughout the season. Thanks for watching as always. See you soon for the next one.